Right, talking about this week, a few very interesting round, sort of with a Series A sort of flavor. Plus, we've seen a big company acquire like a staple open source hardware in Italy, and we talk about that. And then there is a big news, basically, which was confirmed in August, and nobody really is talking about the pension funds entering the VC space. But let's take it in order. So first of all, Cyberwave raising 7 million in a seed round from United, the tech shop, Vento, Pi Campus, and a few business angels. So this is a very interesting. What caught my eye really was the fact that it is a very pragmatic application of digital twin. So essentially, Cyberwave is essentially providing a platform to test the hardware technology through the use of digital twin. So essentially, people can experiment and stress test different kind of hardwares in a digital space before actually deploying everything into a real world. So the trend of digital twin has been, very interesting. People trying to have like interesting application in the marketing space. Some more successful than other, I would say. I mean, virtual product, unless we have something that provide virtual or augmented reality in our living room, like in an effective and cheap way. There is a long way, I think. But on the industrial side, that's probably the right play. I don't know, Nick, what is your take on this one?
No, I love the play, actually. The basic idea of having... So the basic point here is factory floors are currently complex areas, right? And with more robotics, more stuff going around more or less autonomously, they might become even more complex. And this idea of having an orchestration layer across all of this complexity to better manage and handle the floor is super interesting, I think. And probably a missing piece in the forward robotic integration into manufacturing industry. So I love the play. I like also the idea that they're verticalizing and approaching. If you take a look at the website, they're approaching from the safety and security first approach. So like keeping the environment safe.
Yeah, probably the most sensitive part of industrial like application. So safety and security, and then take it from there to expand it. Very interesting for sure. Right. What is interesting is also the fact that, as we were mentioning on the last episode, talking about founders, this new wave of founders that essentially have deep experience either as part of unicorn startup or as founders with exit, are basically providing we're launching very successful project that definitely fundraise. This is an example. So the founder of this company have essentially a history of exit, and definitely signal, I would say.
I agree with you. Actually, the pedigree in this case is quite strong. So we have one founder who was a YC alumnus when the classes in YC were way smaller than today. With a product that was basically on the current AI wave before generative AI, so a chatbot application to talk to your data. It was interesting. So he managed to exit it. So to develop, exit it, then spend some time in SAP as a manager working on data, and then here we are. And the other founder, so Vittorio, another film entrepreneur in the bot space, sold the startup to Google. So in this case, the pedigree is quite golden. I don't know how to better say it.
Awesome. All right, second big round of the week, I would say, is Eoliann, raising 4.2 million in a seed round from Montage, CDP, Primo, Terna, and Open Economics. So basically what Eoliann is doing is basically combining satellite data and with proprietary algorithms to generate precise climate indicators and basically providing a solution for risk management when it comes to climate. Very narrow application, very specific. Definitely, a data plus risk calculation sort of play is very powerful on a different levels. I'm thinking insurance, for example, and probably these guys are thinking also a million different applications. So I would say the value proposition is pretty strong. What is very interesting is the combo of investor in this round, which essentially includes a US-based company, Montage, and then of course you guys, Primo Ventures, with the CDP, which of course is Italy public fund essentially, and it's a very very interesting combination, plus a corporate which is Terna. So very unique, very interesting combo, probably. I would say for this kind of application, a very much ideal pool of investors that touch different parts of the industry.
Well, I think the team is good. The investing team is good, and the founding team is good. I mean, on our side, Primo Space was the fund who made the first investment in Eoliann when they started. So as you know, I have no idea what they're doing, Chinese wall and so on. But I would say that you mentioned that the business case is niche. I mean, it is narrow in terms of what they do, but is not niche in terms of the application on the market. Insurance is the first thought, of course, but think about any infrastructure, real estate investment, anything that touches some kind of involvement of the physical world and actions that you want to take on the physical world. With rapid climatic shifts and the earth that will react in unexpected ways, this type of information to help decide what to do will be, I think, critical to move forward in terms of where to invest, how, in what.
Love it. Yeah, definitely. And again, with the space infrastructure data being more and more accessible, that really confirms sort of the trend of using that kind of asset to build a new generation of companies. So, I mean, unprecedented. So definitely a very, very interesting play and interesting positioning, I would say. Awesome. Let's talk about one of your favorites. So Nicolò has a soft spot for open source in general. So reading about the latest news about Arduino being apparently acquired by Qualcomm, and we will need more confirmation on this for the terms of the deal, but definitely the announcement is very, very strong. So for the few people that don't know, Arduino is an open source electronic platform that basically is designed to make anyone create interactive hardware in this probably the cheapest way. So this is powered like basically hardware technology, software application, and everything, and make it very, very democratic. 33 million users as of today, I would say. And Qualcomm, of course, public company, one of the big provider of tech on the planet, so a big deal. And what is your first thought about this in terms of why this is a big deal?
Well, I mean, when I read it, I was like, oh, what? No way. Arduino is really a big deal in some sense. It was the company that kickstarted the open hardware revolution like more than 15 years ago. The Arduino UNO was absolutely revolutionary. Not the UNO, yes, 2009. But it was revolutionary in many ways. So tinkerers could just buy a microcontroller and they could, build stuff with it without problems with royalties in production batches, some kind of long supply chains, and all the open hardware movement. We had Raspberry, we had a lot of stuff coming right after Arduino. It owes a lot to Arduino itself. So probably we wouldn't be here in the current state of the world without Arduino. And as you mentioned, 23 million users is quite a big number for a hardware startup originally. And I have to say that the history of the Arduino, we wouldn't have enough time in this podcast to go through the history of Arduino. It was a bit complex in many ways. Let's just say that the current management made a big effort to prepare Arduino for the next step of growth when they entered and started working with the company, with the founder Massimo Banzi. And what the Arduino we see today is, a company that's growing, expanding. They invested a lot in software, in getting it more ready for getting closer to the industry, to being manufacturing friendly. So it's been a long path, and I think that the exit with Qualcomm is somehow recognizing the maturity that the company has reached in its path. So super.
Love it. What do you think is gonna happen? Like, do you think the sort of the open source sort of lore is gonna stay? Hardcore believers in Arduino are gonna see it maybe in a skeptical way, or the core is gonna be preserved?
I have no idea. This is a very good question. I don't see reasons for Qualcomm to kill the open movement off. I expect them to invest heavily in expanding the offering. So, I mean, together with the announcement of the deal, they announced the UNO Q. And the UNO Q is not a microcontroller anymore. It's a full-fledged micro PC, closer to Arduino than the original Arduino as an idea. So it's becoming a richer and more complex ecosystem. And I expect them to push this direction, probably expanding the offering in order to be more production industrial ready in terms of capabilities of adoption. But the open infrastructure is key to Arduino to continue thriving.
And I think you definitely hit the spot. And I think if we building on what you were saying, basically from researching a little bit the deal, what might be actually a game changer is the fact that startup developing on Arduino will now be able to develop on the same infrastructure used in commercial devices. So essentially, with the Qualcomm like pieces, essentially the time from idea, test, and product is like reduced, and people will get sooner closer to like a commercial grade product. And this is huge for people developing in hardware, but it's also huge for Qualcomm because you basically are nurturing basically a whole generation of engineer developing on your platform with your tech infrastructure and hardware, and then it's basically ready to scale from there.
Yeah, I wonder what's their plan, which is probably early. What's their plan with the robotics wave, the incoming new robotics wave? I think they will try to play a role in that. And that will be interesting. To paraphrase Bill Gates, I wonder what the future with a robot in every house, how will that play out?
It's going to happen. For sure it's going to happen. Yeah, I mean, in the US, I've seen a few launches of people basically already like household robots that fold your laundry and load the dishwasher, and
Figure released the third version of the humanoid robots, and that's in theory it's described as the Model T of the robotic revolution. So ready to be industrialized, so engineered to be industrialized in scale.
Yeah,
even though I think there are some limits in the software part, but I think it will catch up.
Yeah, I mean, also reading about Tesla, like developing their own robots, I think they hit a hurdle on the developments of the hand movement. So apparently the hand is the most complicated piece and the most expensive piece. Imagine that. So, I mean, humans have like millions of year evolution of basically our hands. Robots to replicate that, well, yeah, I can see how the complexity, the degree of freedom, the twisting mechanism and everything can be like a challenge for sure.
Well, I mean, there are a lot of things that we need to discover. I'm not even sure that the humanoid form factor will be the winning one in many situations. So we'll see. There are other proposals that you can find around in terms of form factors. But I don't know. We'll see. It will be interesting.
Awesome. All right, so let's talk about the news that start peaking in July of this year and then got confirmed in August. Essentially, Italy, with like a specific approval of a certain law, which is the 95/2025, essentially allows a VC fund, Italian VC fund, to be qualified investments in the eyes of institutional like pension funds. And the idea really is to trigger like pension fund investing more and more deeply into venture capital firm investing in startup and SMEs essentially. So my understanding, this is a huge deal, and I think I'll give you my take, but just to wrap up the full context. So essentially is a tax incentive play. So if a pension fund essentially invest between 3%, and a minimum of 10% starting in 2027 into this kind of asset class, all the returns are basically exempt from taxation, which is a huge deal. I mean, it's risk capital. It's a good move to actually boost the ecosystem. I mean, we're talking I think, in my opinion, we're talking Series C and Series D fund being funded to actually build like a next level ecosystem for Italy. So it's a massive amount of money probably. And it has a big precedent, which is USA in the 70s and 80s. I mean, pension funds started investing in venture fund from the 70s, and look at where they are now. I mean, Hume's principle, history is does not necessarily repeat itself precisely, but as Mark Twain says, history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. So maybe there is something there.
Yeah, this was one. I mean, there is a circle of things that need to come together in order to have a thriving venture capital ecosystem. Access to long-term patient capital, a good amount of long-term patient capital is very important, necessary for sure. And then there are the two other bits of the puzzle. So having venture-grade entrepreneurs in the market. So that's the key variable. And then a liquidity market, which I believe this law is trying to support the long-term patient capital. Excellent. I think I have this feeling that we are the venture-grade entrepreneurs in Italy, but not only in Italy, of course, are there. They're emerging. They are coming out. They're starting to build. Those are the builders of tomorrow. Now the question mark is closing the loop. So the exit market. So we have an entire generation, a decade of VC from the last decade. They will need access to liquidity to liquidity events in the portfolio in order to support this cycle, the cycle of life of VC. Let's say so. Let's call it this way. And this is still a missing component in the European market somehow.
Interesting.
So I'm looking forward to see the ideas about this third leg in this triangle of the VC life cycle.
Well, that's a good frame. It's a good way of thinking about it. And I don't think we've seen yet, major movements thanks to this law. Talking with operator in the sector, there is still some hurdle to resolve, which is the exact calculation of the percentage and how exactly this tax exemption is going to work. But it's stuff that people need to iron out. So definitely we will see something happening. I don't know with which velocity, to be honest with you, but is a big deal. I mean, imagine big pensions fund in Italy investing by 2027 like 10% of their asset under management. I mean, it's we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of million, if not billion.
Yeah, it will be interesting. I hope we will strike the right equilibrium between access to finance, giving capital to good teams, so without taking some hasty moves into into building this triangle. But still, this is excellent news. We are super happy.
Do you think that there will be last question before we close? Do you think that, like Italian VC, there will be a point where Italian VC will be at the door of pension fund, like a sort of kind of pitching and claiming their share? Do you think it's happening? People talk about it, or it's early?
It's been happening since I've been around. I mean, we've been bugging pension funds since ever. They started out saying, venture what? And now we're at the stage where they think, venture who? There's been a lot of growth in the understanding that there is an asset class where they can invest. And I would say that several pension funds have already invested in several funds, some more than others. So they're dipping their tools into the markets.
Love it.
And they've built some competence and experience in selecting, in investing, in understanding the asset class. This law will accelerate a process that's already started. So this is good. So we are not starting from scratch. So when you say pension funds in Italy are not investing in venture capital, that's a half truth. Okay, some are already quite active.
Beautiful.
And that's very good. So there is this experience, this competence, this understanding of the asset class that's maturing. This will be an acceleration.
Love it. And I love the way you summarize it with, back in the days, people are asking what, now they're asking who. And the jump between what and who tells a long story, which, it's really cool. I'm sure we're going to have some big acceleration there. All right, Nick, thank you so much for joining for this episode, and I'll see you next week.
So Jack, take care. See you in a week. Ciao, everybody.